Hey guys, I know some people have really struggled with how to get the content on their pages, and this topic of keyword density and this type of thing has come up a lot. And I think that's the wrong approach, and that was the way that it used to be. But things have changed. Google's got smarter, and they continue to get smarter. And now what they're trying to do, if you think about their goals and kind of work backwards, Google's trying to match the person that has the best content with the person that's searching for it. That's why it ranks it. So if we stop thinking about things so much from an SEO and ranking perspective and just try to understand what Google's goals are, you can approach this from a lot better angle, and I think you can get better results. So I saw a post where a guy was trying to rank his site, and he's trying to build content out for a window tinting site. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you some of the ideas that I use when I'm trying to find content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the most basic thing, right? Window tint. Okay, so let's actually make it window tint instead of windows. Okay, so this is what comes up first, right? And I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here, but this is the strategy that I would use when I'm building out my a content plan for one of my sites. Okay, so I'm going to open up Notepad here, and I'm just going to take notes. So here's right away, what is the darkest tint? That is going to be on my page. So this may not have a lot of buyer intent, or maybe it does have some, but when I start to establish a lot of authority and I talk about and I answer the questions that people are asking, I'm going to get rewarded for it. People are going to stay on my page longer. So this is a question that maybe doesn't have local intent, but I know that if this is what's showing up here, then this is what local people are going to care about too. So what is the darkest tint you can, whatever. I'll get this phrasing, how they use it. What is the darkest you can tint your windows? You can tint your windows. So just by having this on here, now I've got like tint your windows in here, but I'm doing it in a way where it's not like, hey, come tint your windows at our window tinting company because we're the best window tinting company that is in this town. We beat all the other window tinting companies. It's just like nonsense that like no one, Google is smart enough. This isn't like 2005 where that kind of stuff works. What is the best window tinting? So this isn't them looking for a company. These are the different types of window tinting. So that's another thing I'm going to have on here is I'm going to break this down, and I'm going to say types of window tinting, right? What are the options? So I'm going to come back to that in a second. How much does it cost? So you don't have to give precise numbers here. You can answer questions like this, right? Where it says 99 for a vehicle. It depends on the vehicle, this type of thing. So I'm going to put that on there probably like, and I'm not going to give them an exact number because maybe I don't know my client. If I already have a client and I know what the exact numbers are, then I can use those numbers, right? But if not, then I'll just keep it general. But I can still put that question on there, answer it. This is what people want to know, and I'm going to start providing those answers, right? How much does it cost to tint car windows? You see these keywords are starting to show up here, but they're showing up here in a way that is going to be more valuable to the user. So, some of the things that Google's really considering now is dwell time. How long does a user spend on an actual website? And then they're using that to gauge the value of your website. They're also considering bounce rate. Does somebody come here and leave right away? So by providing good information, you can kind of manufacture some of those, right? How long do they last? That could be another question that I'll ask. 5 years. Okay. So now I've got a couple questions, right? How long do they last? How long does window tinting last? Why is somebody going to do this, right? Why is someone going to get their windows? Regardless of what the service is, there's some benefit that somebody's after. So I'm going to have a benefits of window tinting section on my site. Benefits of window tinting. And maybe I'll do car window tinting. Sorry, doing multiple things at once here. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to search that now. I'm going to do benefits, and like I said, this can apply to any niche that you're in. Benefits of window tinting. Okay, so you can see some of these sites here that are ranking really well for this stuff, they're going to be killing it. And you're not going to want to, obviously, you want to make it original, right? So on my benefits, I'm going to have an aesthetics. Okay, so you can make your ride look cool, right? Comfort, UV protection, and I'm probably going to collect a few different sites. You know, let me make a master list. Privacy and energy savings. Okay, so your site is going to start to look legit when you put a ton of information like this on it. The top 5 benefits. So these are probably going to be some of the same ones. Keep your upholstery from fading. There you go. So that's a new one. And that's benefit number 1 for this, like, upholstery from fading. Maybe you could even tie into this something like your car value because it's preserving, right? You get your money back after, like, you know, if you use this, and it saves when you go to sell your car. Block harmful, tinted car windows can help solar heat, shattered glass protection. So that's a new one. I think some of those other ones might be pretty similar. Okay. Cool. So we've got a number of benefits. You get the idea. I would probably go pretty crazy with this and just get a lot of stuff. I would also consider, you can buy like icon packs, or you can get free icons. So if I go free icon car, like, that's not really what I'm looking for. It's going to be like Windows operating system. You may need to get a designer, but you should be able to find like free icon packs. And if you go here, and then I think if you go to images, it's been a long time since I've done this myself, but you want to find, you could find some, and you could have these things that kind of line up with some of these benefits. So, and then divide it up within your page so that you're like, okay, this is the benefit section, and just make it a little bit graphical and break up the sections so that it's not all content. This will help with your dwell time. This will help people stay on your page. You can kind of see how this site did it here. It doesn't look great, but they've broken this up into sections, so it's not like one big chunk of text, right? So we've got this. We've got a couple of these things going on, right? Let's get types of window tinting. I'm sure there's a ton of these different types of window tinting. Auto. Okay. So there we go. So right here, I'm gonna go through these, and if I end up getting a client that doesn't provide one of these, then you know, I can obviously remove it. But this could also be some of the stuff that people are searching for. Like, there's probably search volume associated with each one of these as well. Okay, so maybe I can just copy all this stuff right here. Cool. So this is what these are the topics that I want to write about. So when you're like worried about like stuffing, or you can't find the content to write about, this is your gold right here. Okay, so that's okay. So there are some like basic ones, and you know, it might look like this when I go to do this. It could be, I'm going to have like maybe 50 words on each one of these. So I'll send it to my content writers this way. It'll just be like, okay, I need 50 words on each one of these, and it'll start to stack up. By the end of this page, you know, it's going to be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 words, but it's not going to be repetitive at all. It's going to be completely informative. Another thing I really like to do is I like to go window tinting infographic. Let's see what that looks like, because this is what people, like, whoever created this knows about this niche, and they've built these pictures in a way to kind of like answer questions and provide really good information. Someone that took the time, right? So what you can do, if you're not a graphic artist, you can easily hire somebody from Fiverr to make you one of these, or to make you some of these images, or, you know, from one of those other sites like onlinejobs.ph or Upwork. So you can have people put together some graphics. The way that I would do it is I would not put it on there like this where it's all one image. I would have your designer make this an icon and make this text, because if this is all one image, I think Google can read the language on it, but I think there's more benefit if this stuff is getting indexed. And for it to get indexed, it has to be able to, you got to be able to highlight it, right? So like when we're on a website, let me just go back to one of these other, say window tinting. Okay, let's just find some website, just so you guys are clear with this. I think most of you guys will probably get this right away. But, okay, so this stuff is getting indexed. See how I can highlight it? If I try to highlight this, it does that, right? So you want to make sure that your content is getting indexed. So when you go to do these infographics, if I was doing this one, then you could build out something that looks just like this, but you could make this the icon and have text right next to it, right? So, an infographic, this will give you a ton. This is going to take up more of your page, right? It's going to be more stuff. And it's going to be something that the user is going to see, and they're going to pause, and they're going to kind of read this, right? They're going to look through this. It's easy for us to understand what's going on here when it's broken up like this. So that's going to increase our dwell time, right? So it's going to set us up as the authority more, right? So we've got that. We've got the infographic. So also what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see, let's find a window tinting site, right? And I want to see what kind of services they're providing. Okay, so let's go to these guys. They're ranking first in my area. And really not much going on there, right? So some of these guys look like they're doing automotive and residential. I don't know. I'm not in this space. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a common thing. Like they cross over and they do both. I guess the way I search for it, let's do window tinting. Car window tinting, right? Okay, so now we're probably, that's the same company. Austin Tent Doctor. Let's look these guys up and check them out. So I'm looking at the services that they provide now, and I want to get the services on there. Okay, so they're talking about the types. Okay. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the different types of searches that are coming in. That's certainly an important thing when you're trying to get your content set up. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can determine these services, and you don't need to go out and purchase the tool that I'm going to use in this demonstration because, all the tools are pretty similar, honestly. Like their data, none of their data is right. They're all tools. They're all subject to error. So, but they all can kind of give you an idea, right? And so if I put in here window tinting, so this is an SEMrush. Oh, okay, they got something new going on here. I haven't seen it like this where you could add multiple. Okay, so all right. So I'm going to look and see car window tinting. Okay, so I want to see how many different ways this is being mentioned. Okay, so actually like this within this tool. If you do have access to this tool, the keyword magic one is really cool. Because what it's going to do is it's going to break it into categories over here on the left side. So you can see like car, auto, law, home. If you're finding that a lot of people are doing home, then you want to list that as a service. So what we're going to say is like, we're going to have like, the way I would organize this is I would probably put this like more towards the bottom. And one trick you can do is you can start to answer this question. So bounce rate is when somebody comes to your page and then they leave without going to another page. Okay. So if somebody's coming and they're looking for this answer, and I ask this question, what is the darkest you can tint your windows? So I could say something like this: the darkest, the legal limit for window tint depends on your location. You can check out. Sorry, I can't type when the camera's on. Check out. Jeez. A list of local tint rules here. And this is going to be a link to an inner page where I'm going to go and I'm going to cover this in depth. And I'm going to try to get people, it's almost like clickbait, right? I'm going to try to get them off of this home page onto this other page. And there's another page for me. So like for you guys that are trying to find more content, that's another page right there is, you know, answering the question and going into depth. Being like you're setting up your site as the authority on the subject because you've got the most information, you've got the best information, right? So on all of our sites, we always have a, I actually did that. Let's put this up here. Okay. So, when you go to these pages, one thing that I would recommend is, when you have a page, a lot of people, what they do is they take a picture and they just show a picture of like a car like this right here. Okay. And that can let people know what they're looking for, which is great. But I would say if you can do this and you can do it in a way where you have a person in there that's smiling, like try to create an emotional connection with the person rather than just some inanimate object like a car or like a roof or something like that. The people are the ones that are making this decision, right? So if they can see somebody that looks happy, that looks like they're enjoying things. So you have this kind of, we call it our slider. We have this slider here that's meant to engage. And you know, what else I would put in it is I would put in, you need to think about the type of site that you have here. So with this, with window tinting, people are probably they're probably not going to spend a ton of time doing research before they make a phone call. They're going to want to know the price. They're going to want to know availability, some options, stuff like this. So in a niche like that, you're going to want to make sure you have a form and a phone number that doesn't blend in up in this top area. Okay, these people don't have a form. The phone number's up here in the top left. Typically, people expect it to be in the top right. You see how this blends in with the rest of the site? I wouldn't do that. I would try to make it stick out. That's your call to action. Your form, you don't want it to be like ugly and misplaced, but you don't want it to blend in. You want it to like people's eyes to be drawn to it. So it's easy to find, right? So, that's some of the advice. If you are in a niche where you're doing something that is, people are going to have to do a lot more research. Imagine that someone is adopting a kid, right? They're going to go through adoption. That's not going to be a niche where they're going to make a quick decision, like window tinting or carpet cleaning, right? So in that situation, what you're going to do is you're going to want to educate them throughout the page. And then at the bottom of the page, you're going to have your call to action. And surrounding your call to action, what these people didn't do great, I guess they have some stuff here, but you want to have like any kind of testimonials and reviews and stuff that support your call to action. So that way, like when the people are trying to make a decision, you have all this credibility stuff that surrounds it. So if you have any like Google reviews or, you know, you can even just like do some of the icons from Google or Facebook, the review icons and throw those on there. If they've got like BBB approval, you could do the A+ BBB icon there. So that can really, aid in your conversion rate by, you know, kind of giving this extra credibility. But what you want to do on here too, on our notes is, I'm going to list off the services. I'm going to have a service area here. So we'll do car window tinting. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if this is like a common crossover for these people. Car window tinting. Maybe there's home window tinting. And then each one of these sections is going to be like a picture of the car or the house, and then I'm going to write a little bit about it. So maybe each one of these is like 50 words each, right? So you can kind of see you're starting to stack up a lot of stuff, and you're breaking this up into sections, so it doesn't seem overwhelming to the user, and they can kind of browse through this and find what they're looking for. And it may be like you want to have different like subsets of cars, like truck window tinting. I don't know. Like I would look at the search volume and I would see if that kind of stuff is showing up. So if we go into car, it might be just like a ton of different ways to rephrase this same thing. And I wouldn't list it out, you know, near me or any of that stuff. We've already talked about cost. You know, what you could do is you could just throw in here truck. See if there's search volume associated with this and go through the different type of vehicles. Maybe there's like SUV, truck window tint, 880. That would be going on my page. That's not obviously a ton of national search volume, but that's enough to justify that. And in some people, you know, they might search for like auto and they have a truck and then they see that you have this listed here and you explain it. You're like, okay, these guys, they obviously do that. They've, you know, so you kind of get the idea is I would go through, look at this. Another trick that I would do is I would take my main keyword. So let's get rid of truck here for a second and let's just go apply filter All right, cool. So car window tinting, that's going to be our main keyword, right? So I'm going to load that one in there. And what you want to do is you want to find who's doing the best at this, right? And so when I scroll down here, and this is going to be present in a lot of different tools, you're going to have the ability to look at this. I'm going to try to find the first local competitor. So these are national, right? Carandriver.com. There's Amazon, Tent World, Angie's List, Yelp. Okay. So I don't think this guy could be local, but that looks like such a strong domain name that it's probably not local. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to see like somewhere in here. Let's try this guy. That looks like a toll-free number, right? All right. Let's keep going down. There's Groupon. That's a national site with a Texas location. There's more on laws. I would probably, like when I start seeing this stuff, I'm going to have a page on my site that talks about these laws. Driving laws, tinting laws. I'm going to mention some of that stuff on there. Okay, so I'm going to keep going, and eventually I'm going to find a local guy who's ranking right here. Tent Works Boston. That's what I'm looking for. So this guy is like the first local competitor that's ranking, because when I'm seeing this stuff, this is national. This is listed nationally because there's no local intent, right? So this guy is the first guy that's ranking, and I want to know why. So I'm going to use this guy as kind of a blueprint for for what I'm doing. So like paint protection film, that was another one we saw on another site. Commercial residential, that could be 2 more sections I could add in there. So I could have like a who do we service section, and I could go commercial, right? And residential. So, I would do a little more research on the keywords, or the volume, to see if people are searching those ways. But I'm going to use this guy as an example, right? Tent Works Boston. He must be doing something right. There we go. Commercial, residential. He's got automotive listed here. He's got a gallery. So on our pages, like obviously this is something very visual, so we want to have a gallery on here. You can see a lot of these sites, they seem like they use, because it's a tent site, there's a lot of like darkness on it, dark images and stuff. So one thing we started messing around with just for conversion rate is the psychology of color. Okay, so if you check this out, you may want to choose your websites based on the response that you're trying to elicit from people. So like you could use like a red, excitement. That's what people, this other stuff maybe doesn't apply so much to these people, but excitement. So I would probably use red as like a counter color, which I think a lot of these sites have done that. And you'll notice, like if you look at this, the big brands, the people are spending millions and millions of dollars, they line up perfectly with this stuff, right? Like Peaceful. You've got Whole Foods, Animal Planet, Tropicana, anything that's like health related. So it's really, you don't need to spend multiple millions of dollars. We can just Google this and then find out, and then like follow some of the trends and stuff like this, because it may not affect everybody, but why not? Like, why not take advantage of this stuff? All these other brands thought that was important.